Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to Friendsim 2. Now, here's an interesting little thing. If you actually go to my save files, you actually notice that I have new game and not loading, and I have no save files. But if you look at my story beats, you'll see that I have not reset my timeline, Divergent timeline. I'm sure this is the real one. I actually noticed that I haven't done anything relating to that yet, because going from computer to computer does not actually carry through saved files, which is an interesting thing to note for those interested in playing this game. Though, in the gallery, same as well. The screen things do not actually carry over as well, which is another thing to note about this game. So, just the thing, keep an open mind about that. But, I'm actually going to be focusing on the revolution route instead of salvation while on this particular PC. So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's start from the very beginning. Yes, Friendsim 2 uses a persistent save file state like many other visual novels, but unlike Friendsim and Prefaced, your choices in each route will carry forward with you, and those choices will affect future events. If you save your progress, it will also save any choices you make, allowing you to reload your game state at any time if you want to try a different path. And in this particular episode, volume 0, existential identity crisis, unreality, gaslighting, and has action sequences. Player discretion is advised. Were you expecting someone? I'm not sure who it was. Not sure whether your expectations have been tempered by time to this point, where they've grown rigid and cold, inflexible. The worst part of every tragedy is that the outcome is inevitable. The conclusion is forgotten even before you read the first word of the first page. But maybe this isn't a tragedy. I suppose that's up to you, isn't it? So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you expecting someone? All around you, the void paradoxically presses down in around you and expands indefinitely beyond in every single direction. You are, all at once, enveloped by it and completely free of it. You think that if you concentrate hard enough, you could probably perceive your physical form in the shape of your body that exists within the space in between spaces that you found yourself within. You can't remember exactly why you're here. You can't remember how you got here or what you were doing before. If you strain hard enough, you feel the trace of images on the edges of your mind. The warmth of a summer day and the sound of your friends joking with each other in the middle of a park. A blanket laid out, for food served, a pleasant sense of domestic contentment, and deep inside the constant sense of foreboding unease. How long have you felt up this way? How long have you drifted in this void, wondering about the places that you once knew, about the people that you abandoned? Names flash through your mind, specks of recognition and memories that dart out to touch you and race back again. The sensations of inevitability that claw at you once, that pulled you away from them and forced you toward a singular goal. What happened to them when you left? Part of you, the part of you that clings to a sense of naive optimism with every fiber of your being, wonders if they lived a good life, able to find their place in the world through your intervention. Part of you knows that's a lie. Do you think that everyone has to proceed according to some narrative plan? Well, of course, that's just basically what's guided you since the beginning of this journey. What makes you so sure that you know what the plan is in the first place? The void roars out in its silence. The everything and nothing of existence reaches out and pulls you away all at once, turning in itself in an infinite loop that you could always never see in totality. Inside your mind are singular thoughts. I can't go back. Made your decision. Of course you think to yourself, the decision was there all along, because you never really had a choice in any of it, not if you wanted to live with yourself afterwards anyways. The good news is that you're already coming up with a plan, an idea that will ensure that you don't have to worry about any of the messy details of the narrative involvement or whatever bull crap Doc Scratch had going on in Eternia. you've got the powers of the first guardian now. Powers that rival those of the very first personification of the narrative. So this is the no-brainer. You just zap yourself back over to Eternia, round up all of your old friends, and take them back with you to the locked timeline you created for everyone. They can live safely and happily for the rest of their natural lives, tucked away from the eyes of Eternian Empire or whatever malevolent force would have controlled their fates. Besides, you know that they're just get along great with your other friends, Tagora and Tesmir. Just imagine the wild hijinks they get up together there. You focus, pulling your concentration into yourself and letting your thoughts sink into themselves. The narrative folds in around you like a paper crane, layers collapsing into layers into your own sense of self, until there's only one singular point of consciousness awake left. Whew. That is a lot of words. Finally, you can sense in the other timeline out there, beyond the walls of the garden that you've built yourself and your friends, beyond space and time as you would have normally understand them. Out there in the narrative space, where casualty still functions in the way that is all too familiar. You don't need to close your eyes because they were never open to begin with. Your mind turns sideways and you zap. You have no idea where you are.
Who the fuck? Who is it out here now?
You turn, and standing in front of you is a very large, very angry Konya Akima. The anger isn't entirely surprise. That seemed like one of her defining characteristics, generally speaking, but there's something raw about it that you weren't expecting. You begin to stammer out a greeting, the first bit of your whole speech about how she should definitely come back with you to a locked timeline far away from here where she can be safe.
Safe? What in the world are you talking about? What are you even doing here?
Before you can actually answer any of these questions, another familiar face appears.
What are you doing here? Y'all taking a mighty big risk.
You begin to explain that you aren't entirely sure where here is, but the first part is simple enough. You're here to help everyone stay safe. You don't know what the weird stuff are these two are up to, but you know they're your friends and you know what they're up to, that you care about them. Maybe it's been a couple days or so. You don't worry. You're sure maybe they'll just adjust really quickly. You can introduce them to some of the others, and Kania's laughing at you.
You're serious? Why would I ever want to leave?
Because this planet sucks. Kania laughs and laughs again and turns away.
Look, I think you need to go. It's not safe here.
Something in Skylar's voice is making you deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. You want to stay here and argue with these two to explain how good of a plan you have and how it's going to make both of them happy in the end. After all, you're friends, right? Skylar just looks at you and there's something hollow behind her eyes, something haunted.
I think you should go.
You're about to argue to let her know that you're not going to leave until you make sure that she and Konya are going to come with you when you hear something in the distance. A low rumbling noise, the noise of something large and heavy moving out just outside, grinding into the stony ground and rumbling closer and closer. Sky leans in and her expression gets frantic.
You need to go! Now!
The intensity of it takes you out by surprise, and I forgot. It takes you surprise without even thinking about it. You open your eyes and you're standing in an office of some kind, but you're not alone. Far from the corner, hunched over a desk, is your old friend Tagora. You run forward, but stop dead in your tracks as Tagora quickly wisps around and glares at you.
What the hell are you doing here?
He glances around as if looking for someone and takes a step closer. You can see fear in his eyes.
You need to get out. There's no amount of money in the Empire that'll make it worth the kind of heat you're going to bring in here.
You start to protest that you're not going to bring any heat from any kind when you hear a loud knock at the door and freeze. From the other side of the door, you hear a familiar voice.
Gorgor, are you okay in there? I realize that our impending ceremony is still quite a ways off, but I need to go over some of the documents with you in detail.
Precisely 4 centimeters to be specific.
Also, I believe I heard some small commotion earlier. Are you sure that you are adequately prepared for today's festivities?
Oh, I'm fine, dear. Nothing to worry about at all. Just slipped a bit in here. You know how clumsy I can be.
He quickly shoves you aside and motions with his hands. Motions with the hands that clearly says, "Get the heck out of my office," in a moment panic. This time when the world resolves quicker around you, and in the distance you think you can still hear the sound of Gaelic and Tagora talking through the closed door. You can't have gone far this time, and you notice that you don't seem to be traveling in time either, which is, well, that's probably a good thing. It looks like you're in a bedroom or rest block of some kind. And it appears that your old pal Tezria is standing directly at you.
It's you.
She doesn't seem happy to see you. You get ready to deliver your speech again to convince her that you can get her off this heck world and safely away to a place where she won't have to worry about the Empire and Terrier and anything else, but she isn't even listening to you.
Where were you? You left. For sweeps! And now you just pop back in here like nothing has changed? Do you have any idea what it's been like while you were gone? Do you have any idea what we've all had to do?
You can hear the rising anger in her voice, and you just back away, putting your hands up. Last, you remember Tezria was hanging out with Daria, and they were going to work together to make Oteria a better place for everyone.
Are you serious right now?
You half-heartedly shrug. This whole plan has been going a lot less smoothly than you thought it was going to. In fact, you venture to say that's been veering off toward complete disaster, and you're not entirely sure how to change that.
Just go away.
But wait, no, you can't just go and just leave her like this. This is an easy fix. Just a quick zap and then round everyone else up and head back. No big deal.
I told you to go away.
She doesn't sound angry anymore, just tired. It sounds as if all of the energy she had got expended in the moment she saw you, and now it's been replaced with weariness that seeps down to her very soul. You hang your head, and once more you zap. You find yourself over a hill looking the outskirts of your city, a city that looks eerily familiar. For a moment, you just stand there and take it all in. The light of the twin moons shines down and scatters along the buildings. Hives, you suppose you should say, that dot the city. Begin to walk, drawn in by some kind of vague sense of purpose, the kind of half-formed thought that brought you along so many adventures the last time you visited this version of Eternia. Walking down the hill, you stumble half aware down a long, winding street. A sense of looming familiarity claws at you as you walk, reaching up and teasing at your heels, threatening to pull you down once more into a well of remembering. You're still a few dozen yards out when you recognize the shape at the end of the street, the once familiar silhouette now overgrown with creeping vines that snake up and around in and out of everywhere. Your spaceship. It doesn't look like it's been touched in a while. The dread picks at you again, and you do everything in your power to push it down, to ignore what Tezera said to you, to go back the way things were not even an hour ago. Another thought pulls at you, and this is one you can't shake. How long was I gone? The thought won't stop echoing around in your mind, bouncing off the sides and coming back up again and again. How long has it been? What was it Tezera said to you, that you've been gone for sweeps? How many sweeps? How many years it's been? That doesn't make any sense to you. You did the same thing you've done countless times before, concentrated on the time and the people you want to find, and then aimed yourself and zapped. By all rights, you should have arrived within days of the last time you're on Eternia. You feel panic rising, air catching in your lungs as you trip backwards over your own feet, the breath rushing racket in and out as you start to hyperventilate. You feel something out there, something far away but powerful, familiar. You close your eyes. Even before you open them again, you feel something that you haven't felt in a long time. Somehow you know what you're going to see when you open your eyes again. The unnatural green resolves itself before your eyes, swimming in and out of focus before finally snapping into place in front of you. You've been here before. So many times you've been here. You've seen it again and again, stood in this foyer and sat in the other room when the man who rules over this place told you to find your answers, ran from this place in desperate attempt to escape, and then you saw it in your dreams.
Oh, my dear reader, you've been gone for a long time. I can't say that this intrusion is expected, but I suppose it is not necessarily unwelcome. After all, I still consider myself a most excellent host.
A shiver runs up your spine, and you turn to run, but your legs freeze under you. You can't tell if he's doing something to prevent you from leaving, or if it's just the raw fear keeping you locked in place.
Oh, please. If I were the one doing that, rest assured that I would be far less subtle about it. I simply want to have a conversation. Why don't you have a seat?
You blink, suddenly sitting on the vibrant green couch with a vaguely floral print on it. You're having trouble thinking, having trouble remembering why you're here in the first place.
So, why are you here? What errand has come up to draw this particularly intrusive rodent out from their hiding spot?
Oh, that's easy. You want to come back and get all your friends. You figured that since you have your powers of the First Guardian now, it'll be simple enough to just kind of hop in and take everyone back with you.
A First Guardian, you say? Well, of course. How wonderfully droll a thing to consider. That the cog in my machine would one day be as critical a piece of their universe as I am of mine.
I mean, yeah. Okay, wait a second. My thing is just being a little dumb.
Really? You think that absolves you of the consequences of your decisions?
So I said, you're not sure that this comparison's actually a fair one. After all, you aren't using it into some kind of nth dimensional chess game. You don't want to admit it, but this has a little bit freaked out right now. Why am I not surprised?
You have no reason to worry. After all, I never lie.
Sure.
And as such, I can say that your presence here is a mistake.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Why, you can't even begin to imagine the ripple effect it will have on this universe. The mere act of contacting your friends again could very well undo this world as we know it. Your friends could very well end up dead, simply because you chose to try to set them free. So I ask you, wouldn't it be better to simply not? To let your friends live out their lives under my watchful, nigh omniscient eye. I can promise that their lives will be no worse than they would have been had you remained on Alternia in the first place.
You start to snap back that you would never do such a thing. You couldn't leave your friends to simply exist on this whole hellhole of a planet. But then you start to wonder, maybe he has a point. Hear what he has to say. You sit back on the couch and look up at Scratch, and you wonder why you are even bothering to do this in the first place. Wasn't Scratch the bad guy?
Please, your view of good and bad is so incredibly simplistic. If you think that everything reduces down to the binary of virtuous or villainous, then I have some terrible news about the real world for you. In any case, I'm no monster. I simply aim to provide a much-needed education in the way that things work around here.
You guess that makes sense. I mean, he hasn't exactly been anything than polite and reasonable so far. Maybe you're just remembering things wrong? All the evidence to the contrary. Maybe that was just a big misunderstanding.
You could say that, if you like. But, you see, there's so much to consider. Have you given any thought to what would happen if you were to simply pull these critical pieces off the board at such an important point in history, when they still have such a role to play?
In your mind's eye, you see a small apartment with a tiny closet. In the closet, there's a crate. For some reason, you think of one of your other friends, the one who's always shouting.
Have you really stopped to think about it? How the removal of a single key piece could put the entire game into jeopardy?
I just realized I'm crying. A concert swamped in blood, the sour smell of rust in the air, the sound of drones whines low over the crowd, and then the rambling roar of the guns as they open fire again, and the screams don't stop.
It doesn't matter if it's the lowliest pawn. All of the pieces have their own unique role to take on the board. To deny that is, well, my dear reader, it is simply foolish on a scale that mere words fail to describe.
A lone figure tends to the caverns long after all the others have faded into the mists of time. Long after everyone she once knew or cared about has passed from the world. She can barely remember who she is, but she knows that her duty isn't yet complete.
Do you see what I mean? There are other worlds than these, dear reader, and you simply exist in one of them, a cul-de-sac at the terminal end of time, cut off from everything and everyone of any meaning.
You shake your head as if thou cleared out. The words that Scratch it said kept ringing inside, digging it deep into your conscious mind and finding their purchase and burning deep.
Well,
what? Your lost in thought or memories?
Not of anything that's happened to you. but perhaps in another world, given the right circumstances.
You do have to admit that you don't really know much about all the Artanian timeline work. It's confusing enough before you got all these crazy First Guardian space-time powers, and now it's all darn right headache to keep track of everything. You thought maybe the job would have come with some kind of instruction manual, but...
Not to worry, dear reader. You can still reverse the course you've begun to chart. It's simple. Go home.
Go home?
Yes, of course. Go back to your cozy little locked timeline, tucked far away from all of this. Retreat to your domicile and leave this world to carry forward on its course.
The lock timeline?
Yes, I hope my implication is clear. I am implying that it is possible that the events here are in fact necessary to close the loop of causality.
Well, you suppose you can't really argue with that. Agree to leave.
Excellent. You see, you're not an entirely unreasonable person. Now run along, back to your home.
You don't feel good about this. Something about this is wrong.
Don't worry about a thing. After all, they are in quite capable hands.
You've gotten so good at swallowing your feelings, your own sense of right and wrong. What's one more time? What's one more chance to take it the easy way out, right? It's better this way, but... So... I can go back. Yada yada yada. Here really has to say. No, wait. This is complete nonsense. Even if Scratchy is playing some kind of long con with all of your Artanian friends, you've already proven that you can make a stable world without any of this manipulative nonsense.
I say, my dear reader, that is a most unconscionably rude thing to say to me. After all, I am so much more experienced at this than you are. What do you plan to do? To rush about from place to place, picking up your friends and taking them away to live in a fairy tale world of your own making? And what of the friends you leave behind?
Some jolt runs up your back.
Are you going to leave them behind to my whims? Do you truly think you can live with yourself afterwards? Or maybe you think you can help them right here on Alternia?
Glare at Scratch. You're still not sure what you could actually do to him in any material sense in the world, but the anger is seething inside you. That this kind of smug jerk thinks he can talk down to you like a little kid. Scratch shrugs, pressing his fingers to what would be his temple if he had more conventional anatomy.
That would certainly be a treat. To see them dash themselves on the rocks of martyrdom and self-sacrifice. For what? For the vague promise that maybe Alternia might get better one day?
You're glaring at Scratch, and as you look at him, an idea begins to form in your mind. Hey, so if he's so smart, how come he wasn't expecting this? The way you see it, you're here to stay and you got two options. Either you save your friends, or you give them a way to fight back. Stick it to the man.
You fool. You completely irrational, pandering fool. Do you have any idea how stupid you sound right now?
Probably not significantly more than usual.
Oh, shut up, you ungrateful pile of detritus. You've lost any right to speak on this or any other matters of importance.
Well, that's a pretty mean thing to say to you. Honestly, you feel like you're pretty worn out. You're welcome already and should probably be on your way. Scratch shifts his weight, and you begin to notice that he's closer to you than he was before.
I'm afraid that I can't let you continue to meddle. Before, you were simply being bothersome, but now you've crossed a certain threshold into the realm of the truly infuriating.
Yeah, no, this is probably not good. Bonk. Oh, you're here. You struggle with a bleary, disconnected feeling of threats to overwhelm you and stare directly at the figure in front of you. Where are you? It's not the first time we talked. It probably won't be the last. The figure turns to you and smiles. You don't even know how you can tell that she's smiling. You don't even know how this is a she and some kind of abstract entity. I wouldn't wonder about it. You got a long road in front of you. Getting too worked up about it, the details is... She shrugs. You think that she shrugs. But then you can see her expression soften. Sense her expression soften. You're feeling lightheaded, confused. I know it's probably sound cliche, but you got a destiny to fill. Not one that's set in stone just yet, but it's not a destiny that involves dying at the hands of Doc Scratch. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Just keep one thing in mind. This time your choices might not mean much, but that'll only always be true. A single kite warren might save a life. A single whisper of defiance can start a revolution. Scratch shifts his weight and beginning to notice that he's closer than he was before. You know what's about to happen, you don't know how. You know exactly what's about to happen. You don't know how, but you know exactly what's about to happen. Quick roll to the side and Scratch's cry ineffectually hits the couch. A little spark of green flies out from the crowbar, and you realize that this isn't just an ordinary crowbar.
You're not playing fair, are you? They're helping you.
You have no idea what the heck he's talking about. Just to make it clear to Scratch that you have no idea what the heck he's talking about, just mostly want him to stop trying to kill you. Try and zap away, but something keeps you held down, a force that presses you into smut.
If you'll just hold still, this will be over as quick as you can blink. You won't even know what hit you.
Yeah, you know.
You are becoming extremely annoying.
That's not the first time you heard it, and if you have anything to say about it, then you won't be the last. You roll sideways and jump onto your feet, ready to scramble away. You have no idea where you'll go once you get out of this mansion, but getting out and getting away from the crowbar-wielding maniac is a bit higher priority at the moment.
If you could just hold still, this would be significantly less onerous to both of us.
Yeah, you're not doing that. You just jump back over the couch and rush around to the side, headed for the door. It's just about 30 feet or so down the hallway, basically nothing, and you can... The crowbar clips your leg, and you sent sprawling headfirst along the floor, sliding into the awkward and painful stop up against the side of the old-timey television cabinet that is, for some reason, just kind of hanging out.
Now, my dear reader, it is time for this ridiculous charade to end.
You can't just let this happen. Not now, not when you haven't even had the chance to figure out what the heck is going on with your friends. The pain is shooting up your right up your leg. It feels like it's turned into a fuse and it's burning straight up towards your base of your spine. You can only feel your power shooting away, and you think you know why the crowbar looks familiar. Doc Scratch advances on you, hefting the chunk of crimson metal above his head. You got one chance here, one opportunity to pull out everything together and get the heck out of here. With the last ounce of energy you have, you need to deepen down inside the power of yourself and grasp the last shred of your powers. And for one final time, you zap. All around you, the void paradoxically presses around you and expands indefinitely beyond you in every single direction. You are at once enveloped and completely free of it. You find yourself sailing through the spaces between the atoms themselves, and you're aware of this. It's like it's always felt, but you were never so keenly aware of it. Like being in the car that's about to run out of gas, sputtering and coasting to a stop on the busy highway. The allergy is starting to get away from you, and you can feel yourself slipping, falling back into reality. Well, at least you aren't dead.
You have got to be kidding. This is some kind of sick joke, right? Pretty sure I asked you to leave, so why aren't you leaving yet?
Well, honestly, you love to leave. You love nothing more than to be on your way out and forget that you made the mistakes of coming back here in the first place. Unfortunately, it seems like you kind of committed yourself at this point. No big deal, right? You laugh nervously.
Right. No big deal. Except it's kind of a big fucking deal. You do realize it's been 2 sweeps since anyone's heard anything from you, right?
That's about
A lot of shit's been happening in that time. To all of us. Also, I hope you didn't think I wasn't gonna ask how you just kind of appeared in here.
Well, the thing is that you've been through a lot, so the short version... Let me actually see... Prologue, Path to Revolution. Tessera's eyes you skeptically, but you plow right on. You're not sure if she's still into the whole revolution thing or not, but you've been giving that a lot of thought the last couple of hours, and maybe she's onto something with that. Maybe she's kind of interested in hearing a little bit more about that, actually. She doesn't say anything, but she doesn't stop you either. Nice! You can work at this. You think that Eternian's actually pretty bad. Like, the whole Imperial power structure really kind of sucks, right?
That's a bit of an understatement.
Right, so what if you could help Tizra do something about it? Maybe not bring it down exactly, that seems kind of a lot, but maybe help weaken it, set some fires or something, misfile some paperwork, really stick it to the man.
Okay, fine. Why don't you start by explaining how you even got here?
Revolution. Time passes. A hero is MC Reader is a hero to the Artinian people. Yes. Continue volume 1. Turn to main menu. And with that, I hope you're excited for the Revolution version of this. I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path, forever it might lead you into the future. Goodbye, everybody.